New Zealand has an impressive history of performance shipbuilding, and while we are still designing great ships, we're not producing many ships in New Zealand anymore. Much of that has gone offshore. Why is that? Let's discuss it. Kia ora, I'm Jace Hobbs of the Mastermould composite technology. I'm going to show you a tooling process that is so powerful and remarkable that you may not think it to be true at first. When I showed this at the Miami Boat Show Symposium, many of the naval architects there stared in disbelief that the hulls, decks, and cabin tops that I was showing them in model form and the full-size vessels all came off of a single remarkable Mastermould. But I'm going to show you in model form today just how that works, and I hope to prove to you that we can bring shipbuilding back into New Zealand and recreate this grand tradition that we have here. So take a look at this 43-foot catamaran hull. Note the rather ideal prismatic buoyancy characteristics of this hull, the ideal cross-section in the middle of the hull, which is semicircular, the sort of floaty bustle of the hull back in the transom area, which keeps it from squatting at speed. Believe that all of these panels on this hull came off of a single Mastermould. So note in this model mold that both starboard side, port side, and the deck all came off of this Mastermould, even the transom, but that's a modest part. Including the decks, the cabin tops of these vessels all came off. And we're going to put a picture in of one of the vessels that I've built that shows this to be true. When you use this process, you not only have the advantage of perhaps a single model vessel being built, but you also can use various portions of the Mastermould. Look at this. This is a 15-meter catamaran hull. It also came off of the Mastermould, port, starboard, and deck, just in the same way. However, it is not simply tagged on to the length of the vessel to make it longer. It is geometrically scaled up. Everything about this hull is completely scaled up so that you have an ideal vessel which is much longer and much more buoyant. It is not a compromise that one must make to produce these longer vessels. Where this becomes really important is when you're building much larger vessels, because we all know that one of the limitations for getting all the advantages of composite technology, the weight savings, the low maintenance, the ideal shapes that you can get. One of the things that limits that is the fact that as you get larger in the overall size of the vessel, the costs of the molds become exponentially larger. You start losing any economy, and so therefore most builders go to other sorts of building technologies, even though they have so many compromises in performance and even livability. So when you employ the master molding process, you can have a whole fleet of vessels coming off of this master mold. For instance, on this size of a master mold, I can produce a vessel of maybe 38 feet, 43 feet, and 50 feet on that same mold, all ideal decks, hulls, cabin tops, oftentimes other portions of the vessel. And so you can produce a whole fleet of vessels that are within a sort of a size category. And if you expand on the master molding process, and I'm going to show you how that works later in this video, when you expand on that master molding process, you can build much larger vessels, let's say 30 to 50 meters, not only on a single mold, a master mold, but you can build them with varying characteristics. You can have them be more, let's say, load carrying, therefore more commercial, or finer and therefore more performance oriented. So you have this incredible range of possibilities all at your fingertips off of a single master tooling. Now, when you notice the size of this mold, it's only 1 meter long, and of course, my hull here in the model form is 1.5 meters long. So when you use a Mastermould, since it is a portion of an elliptical toroid, it is a perfect geometric representation. When you use that, you do not actually have to produce the full-size hull of a vessel in one shot. You could have a Mastermould that was long enough to produce the whole vessel, but you don't have to, because you can produce this in giant segments all the way from the keel line all the way up to the gunnel, and then you can piece those together in the Mastermould to often make two large panels that combined make a port side, or they combined make the deck portions, or something like that. So it does not have to be a single large panel. If one decides that they have a vessel that it wants to go in production, and let's say that you have a 43-foot vessel that's getting really good public response, then you can take the Mastermould and you can produce the production molds that you wish to have very specifically for that off of the Mastermould, and therefore further reduce the time and cost in producing those production molds. But even as it stands, the Mastermould is a production process. You can go directly into the major production series of your business by having a series of vessels. So where I think this really shines is in larger multi-hulls. So where you have a molding cost for, let's say, a 30 to 40 meter multi-hull, the cost of that is exponentially large. But with master molding, it is the same essentially as a much smaller vessel. So you can produce all of the attributes of a composite vessel and all of the production possibilities of a female molded, vacuum formed, high tensile cord composite technology. But you don't have all of those molding costs. You don't have to store the molds. You don't have to produce all of those production molds. It is a remarkable process. So one of the most remarkable aspects of the master molding process is you're not locked into the one hull geometry, the one performance rating of a vessel. So for a client that has a specific need or a specific performance range, you can alter, even for that single client, you can alter the geometry of the vessel somewhat to get the form and weight, for instance, characteristics that they wish to have. It's really remarkable. You can change the bow shapes. It comes with an ideal kind of a reverse bow shape, but you can alter that to make it a plumb bow. You can alter that to make it even an overhanging bow. It's very flexible in the sense that you can get various vessels off of the same mold. This comes into play also when you have the vessel that you want to produce in a large volume and you need to create the production molds. That also is a factor. You can get the ideal shape that you want over a series of vessels and then lock it into a production mold for a single model. But while you're doing that, you get all the advantages, all the production advantages of the master molding process. I'm not going to show you every little bit in this video, and I'm hoping that you'll contact me about this so that I can show you the fine points, and there are many attributes that really make this a remarkable process. But I am looking for a partner in New Zealand to produce these vessels, and I think bring back this grand tradition of shipbuilding into New Zealand and make us a producer again rather than just a technology leader. So look afterwards on the video of the contact information for myself and my patent materials. You're going to see them listed on the screen. And that will lead you perhaps to reviewing the kind of unique geometry that makes this possible. And then perhaps contact me as a part of an investigation whether this is right for your operation. I hope you do. I'm looking forward to presenting this in its finer detail. So if you can, digest that, get back to me, look at the photos that we're going to present, Thank you for listening to me. Kia ora.